What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for stopping by the channel today. I got a little bit of extra for you. It is October 22nd, 2021. I am JD from New York, and this is Off the Script. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. And if you guys missed any of the content this week, we got Monday Night Raw, we got Crown Jewel. Anything you guys missed this week, it is on the channel right now on the homepage. Go and check that out if you have not done so already. And make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,500 likes on today's video. We're going to start at the top. AEW Rampage and SmackDown went head-to-head this past weekend. And the numbers that came in for the ratings were a hot topic backstage during Monday Night Raw inside WWE. Now, the first 30 minutes of AEW Rampage went head-to-head with WWE and what they called a supersized edition of SmackDown. Don't let it fool you. The supersized edition of SmackDown means, hey, please watch our show. We're not on Fox, we're on FS1, and we know people aren't going to watch the show, so we desperately have to try and generate interest for a show that nobody's going to go out of their way to watch. Edition of SmackDown. And the two shows wound up tying in the 18 to 49 demographic, and as you guys know, that is the key demographic for what these promotions are looking for and what the networks are looking for. Not only that, but according to PW Torch, Rampage actually drew higher viewership than SmackDown during the 30 minutes of head-to-head competition. Now, the report stated that in the 18 to 49 demographic, Rampage recorded 328,000 viewers compared to SmackDown's 285,000 viewers. Now, according to Showbuzz Daily, SmackDown averaged 866,000 viewers, and Rampage averaged 578,000 viewers. But both shows recorded the 18 to 49 demo in the same way, and that was a 0.24 in the 18 to 49 demographic. It's important to note that the supersized show of SmackDown aired on FS1 as Game 1 of the ALCS between the Boston Red Sox and the Houston Astros aired on Fox, and it recorded a viewership rating of 6.136 million viewers. Now, following the release of the numbers for Rampage and SmackDown, WrestleVotes reported the numbers and the news of the numbers were a hot topic during Raw backstage in WWE. WWE greatly attempted to stack up a supersized edition of SmackDown, which featured a singles match between Sasha Banks and Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. The match was won by Sasha Banks thanks to assistance from Bianca Belair. Those three obviously faced off last night during Crown Jewel for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, Zelina Vega also on that show defeated Carmella in their Queen's Crown Tournament semifinal. Vega wrestled Doudrop in Saudi Arabia, and Shayna Baszler was the favorite to win that tournament, and she lost. She lost to Doudrop, so at the end of that match, I just already didn't care going in. I didn't care coming out of that match, regardless of who won, Doudrop or Zelina Vega. I mean, at that point, how could you ask anybody to care? How could you ask anybody to care? But I could rant about that tournament for hours. I can't stand it. Finn Balor got past Sami Zayn in the King of the Ring semifinal. He did challenge the winner of the Jinder Mahal Xavier Woods match. That was obviously at Crown Jewel. Xavier Woods and Finn Balor in the finals of the King of the Ring. And then Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns signed the Universal Contract championship match for Crown Jewel. SmackDown predictably finished with far more viewers than Rampage. This was a giant win for AEW because they won the 18 to 49 demographic. Their B show was able to outdraw the final 30 minutes of SmackDown, which has enjoyed much greater viewership than Raw in the last couple of years. Yes, it is the better show compared to Monday Night Raw, but you're comparing yourself against the worst wrestling show in the entire industry right now on Monday night. And like I usually say every single week, if SmackDown did not have Roman Reigns, they probably would be just as bad as Monday Night Raw, because the show really, when you want to boil things down to the nitty-gritty, it's not good. SmackDown is just not good. AEW already soundly defeated NXT in the Wednesday Night Wars, and now they're starting to gain momentum against WWE's main show. It'll be interesting to see if WWE reacts to this and if there is more competition between SmackDown and Rampage moving on into the future. Yes, it was a hot topic backstage because WWE, they think who they are. They wanted for years to say AEW is not competition. They failed to recognize that there is another wrestling promotion here in the United States that is doing things the way that they should be done, building new talent, putting on shows the way WWE, realistically, with the roster that they have, should be also putting on the same type of shows. This is a company that is putting professional wrestling first and foremost. Meanwhile, WWE is doing everything to show you how much they hate professional wrestling. WWE should not be surprised by these ratings, no matter what time slot Rampage is showing up on, no matter what show Rampage is or what it means to AEW. SmackDown and WWE is a global entity. You should be able to do and say whatever the fuck you want and have people ready, willing, and able to do what they need to do to go out there and watch you. No matter what type of busy October we've been experiencing with football and basketball and the MLB playoffs and the NHL and your mother's fucking homemade sauce on Sunday night. I don't give a shit what the fuck is going on in October. I've said it since day one, and I'm going to say it again. If WWE consistently put on good shows, then people will go out of their way to watch. Have they put on consistently good shows? The answer is no. Your definition of good is very different than my definition of good. WWE has not put on good shows consistently. You may get a good show here, a good show there. They have not put on good shows consistently. So for AEW to come out and wage war against SmackDown, knowing that they were on FS1, I did say Tony Khan, I think, went a little above and beyond to really make this thing into a quote-unquote war. I think he thought WWE would be at its weakest point on FS1. He actually bet against the house and won. He did. I thought it was a little too much. I really am in the camp of Tony Khan should really concentrate on just continuing to do what he's done right. But at the end of the day, realistically, if Vince McMahon was the age of Tony Khan and in Tony Khan's shoes and living a day in the life of Tony Khan as a startup company with AEW, don't you think Vince McMahon would probably be doing the same thing as Tony Khan right now? So who are we to say Tony Khan is right or wrong in whatever the fuck he does or wants to do to promote his company and do whatever he wants with AEW promotional-wise? He's confident in his company. He's confident in what he's done. He's confident in what he continues to do. He's confident in what he's built up until this point. So who are we to say what Tony Khan can and cannot do? As far as I'm concerned, I find it to be humorous because everybody on social media takes what this guy says and they lose fucking sleep over it. So good for him. Tony Khan is the master of puppets. I love it. But WWE should really be ashamed of themselves. A global entity, and nobody gives a shit about when your show is preempted, no matter what else is going on Friday night in the world of professional sports. WWE should be ashamed of themselves. Supersized, Lesnar, Reigns, Sasha, Becky, King, and Queen of the Ring. Nobody gives a shit. If they did, they'd go out and find you. They'd go out and watch. Meanwhile, everybody talked about what Tony Khan did and what Tony Khan said, and they were a little bit more interested in what Tony Khan was going to produce, so they went out and watched Tony Khan's show. More so than WWE. Hot topic? Yeah. It's a hot topic because WWE lost. Are you going to take it and make it into a better week next week? Are you going to take what they did here and continue to book better shows? Are you going to use it as a fire underneath your fucking balls and go out there and do what needs to be done? Are you going to give us professional wrestling? That's all I want, consistency. Good for Tony Khan, man. He played the house and he won. Speaking of AEW, Booker T. Booker T should keep AEW's name out of his fucking mouth from this point forward. This guy clearly is making himself to be one of the most unintelligent and biggest blithering idiots in the entire wrestling industry. He says Tony Khan should go out and produce a good show because he sounds like a little schoolgirl. Now, Booker T clearly has been living in a fucking cave somewhere. And clearly Booker T does not watch AEW because he's got his head so far up Vince McMahon's asshole, he doesn't know what an AEW is. On the latest episode of the Hall of Fame podcast, Hall of Losers podcast, Booker T gave his thoughts on the recent ratings battle between Rampage and Friday Night SmackDown. As noted on Monday, WWE drew more total viewers for their 2.5-hour supersized edition of SmackDown, but AEW tied or won most of the key demos. The key demo numbers are what advertisers care about the most. Booker T says he believes the overall numbers are more important in the ratings than the demo. Of course he does. How much money is Vince shilling you to say that, Mr. T, huh? How much? Meanwhile, everybody else in the industry is saying the opposite, but you're the only one saying what you're saying here. This is what Booker T said in regards to Tony Khan talking about the demos, and I quote, "I am of the sentiment that Tony Khan is doing a lot of talking about nothing. Go out and produce a good show." I'm going to stop there. This could be interpreted one of two ways. Number one, this guy clearly has not watched AEW and does not know the consistency of good shows that they have already put on in 2 years. I don't want to say he doesn't know what AEW is doing because he obviously knows what they're doing in regards to Bryan and Cole and Punk. A lot of AEW talk has been in the mouth of Booker T. I don't want to say he's a complete blithering idiot here. This could be interpreted one of two ways. We all know he knows what AEW is doing. But I'm going to go out there and say that he's talking about, the current Rampage SmackDown situation that previously happened this past weekend. I'm going to say Booker T means, why don't Tony Khan shut up and just produce a good show? But he already knows that Tony Khan knows how to produce a good show. I don't think that he meant go out and produce a good show as if he never produced a good show before in 2 years. So I'm going to give Booker T the benefit of the doubt in that one. At the end of the day, we'll know who won if that's what we're looking for, if that's your goalpost, if that's where you're trying to score. But all of this talk about what you're doing, this and that, back and forth, I swear, man, it sounds like a little schoolgirl saying how pretty she is over all the other girls in the schoolyard. I could be wrong, but to me, that's what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like a boss. It doesn't sound like a real boss move to be talking about something as small as that. I remember back in the day when WCW and WWE were going head to head. That right there was a real war, fighting for numbers. At one point, WCW took the rating war and ran with it for 83 weeks. That's a long damn time to say we are winning. But what happened after 83 weeks? What happened? The ball shifted and we never got that momentum back. You know why? Because there was a lot of talking going on and a lot of guys not working, keeping their eyes on the prize. My thing is, if Tony Khan is smart, I really think the guy is really smart. He would definitely stop thinking about the fans on social media as opposed to how long we can run this thing. How big can we make this? End quote. A lot of comparing, and even with the Eric Bischoff stuff with Tony Khan, which Jesse and I will be going over Saturday when we're live for Dynamite. I don't want to do that here. I want to get his opinion on that, as he is a super fan of AEW, just like we all are. So I want to get his take on that. Eric Bischoff really dragging Tony Khan through the mud this week in regards to everything that he's doing, even going as far as to say the 1 million viewership for AEW on Wednesday night with Dynamite is good, but it's just numbers. And TNT may be happy, just like, Spike TV or whoever TNA was with were happy. How long does it last? It's good, but it's nothing to be bragging about. Almost brushing off the success of AEW. But like I said, we'll save that for Saturday night. As far as what Booker T is saying here, a lot of comparing WCW to AEW here. I don't really get the sense how they are the same. The aura in some of the things that AEW does has a take on the old school mentality. They may borrow an idea from here and there. They may have a certain look that is very similar or reminiscent to what WCW did during the Monday Night Wars, and that goes to be attributed to the fact that they're on TNT, just like WCW was. I don't see how you can compare Tony Khan and Eric Bischoff and how he ran WCW. There were a lot of big egos already instilled in WCW that really brought it to its downfall. Eric Bischoff got a head way bigger than he probably could handle going up against Vince McMahon. He thought he had won, and he let the greediness and all the mega egos and all the mega money contracts and the shit booking, all of that really caught up to him. There was a power balance that shifted in one direction more so than being in the middle. There was no even in anything that they were doing. It was always shifted into the worst possible situation. A lot of things that deteriorated WCW back in the day. I don't see that happening with Tony Khan. Tony Khan is the biggest supporter of what he's doing and his roster. He knows what needs to be done. I don't think we're going to get to a situation where AEW is going to start looking like WCW and then have a downfall like WCW. Tony Khan knows what he is doing after 2 years. Tony Khan is simply being the cheerleader and the biggest fan support to his already impressive roster that is already excited to see the growth and the continued growth of AEW. They're not going to go out there and sabotage what's going on. They're not going to go out there and ask for multi-million dollar contracts. Half of these people are not there to fuck around. I would say not even half. All these people are not there to fuck around. This is an opportunity that they were gifted and an opportunity that they're going to cherish. Most of this roster is there for one reason and one reason only, and that is professional wrestling. They did not get that where they were previously. AEW is presenting something that is really filling the hearts of a lot of these guys that's been empty for many, many years, and that is the love of professional wrestling, going out there and being a professional wrestler. I don't see any of this happening. There's a lot of love for what Tony Khan is doing, a lot of love for the sport of professional wrestling, because we haven't been given professional wrestling outside of the Triple H version of NXT. That was so incredible. Tony Khan is doing a lot of things right. So when I hear Tony Khan being compared to Eric Bischoff, I don't see it. I don't see it. All I see is a man who is very proud of what he's doing and a huge cheerleader of his entire team. And he's going to go out there and express that in the ways that he wants to express that. But for Booker T to go out there and say, oh, just shut up and do a good show. Yes, he usually does that. But who the fuck are you to say that Tony Khan can't go out there and be a cheerleader? You know, we didn't have social media like we do now when Eric Bischoff was battling Vince McMahon. So why shouldn't Tony Khan use what social media is supposed to supply? Who are you to tell Tony Khan not to use social media in the manner that social media should be used? I don't understand you. If you were Tony Khan, you wouldn't go out there and do what he's doing? Because I know I would. I love being fucking the way Tony Khan is being. I love just eliciting that type of behavior and reaction. He's doing it because he knows he gets a reaction. And Tony Khan knows that no matter what he says, if it's right or if it's wrong, if it's something that he shouldn't have said, he knows he has the capability to back it up. And he has done so time and time and time again. He's not been perfect, but he's been a guy that's nailed it time and time again, and that is just in 2 years. So who is anybody to say to Tony Khan how he should be using social media and how big of a cheerleader he should be to his already impressive roster that he's so fucking proud of? It's funny. Booker T is giving Tony Khan the reaction that Tony Khan immediately thought of when he was going to post all of that shit last week between Rampage and SmackDown. Booker T is the prime example of what Tony Khan has been looking for. Thank you, Mr. T. Thank you. You gave Tony exactly what he wanted. Bruce Prichard reportedly came up with the idea to cut Adam Cole's hair and make him a manager in WWE. My question is, why does Bruce Prichard have a fucking job? Why does Bruce Prichard have employment with WWE is what I want to know. How does anybody think that this guy makes the company better? Man, he must suck some good dick in WWE for him to still have a job with Vince McMahon. This is pathetic. Absolutely fucking pathetic. I've said this, and Jesse even said, why are we picking on Bruce Prichard? Back in the day when I ranted about Bruce Prichard taking over Bullshit, what difference does it make? The shows are run by Vince McMahon. The thing is, I said it then, I'm going to say it now just to reiterate if you guys knew around here. If Vince McMahon was to die and Bruce Prichard was put in charge, what do you think Bruce Prichard is going to do to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown on Friday night on Fox? Is he going to make the shows better than they are now because Vince McMahon's not there? No, he's going to run the show just exactly how Vince McMahon wants him to run the show in this life or in the next life. It doesn't matter. If Vince goes away on vacation and can't be there, who does he leave in charge? He leaves Bruce Prichard in charge. How's Bruce Prichard going to run the show? Vince McMahon's going to be on Zoom all day long, running the show, making sure Bruce is running the show the way that he needs to run the show because Vince McMahon is not there. If Vince had no communication at all with WWE throughout the day, and Bruce was left in charge, and he needed to take the reins for himself and get a show on television, how do you think the show's going to end up being? Exactly the show Vince McMahon would have put on in every sense of the word. Bruce Prichard is a fucking cancer to the WWE. You know, they usually say when the cat is away, the mice will play. Can you imagine if Bruce Prichard ran a show that was completely against everything that Vince McMahon did or wanted to do? I couldn't imagine it. That's why Paul Heyman was fired. That's why Paul Heyman was let go, but WWE valued Paul Heyman, so they really couldn't do what they wanted with him. Paul Heyman was taken out of the executive director role for Monday Night Raw. No creative ideas were to come from Paul Heyman anymore. They put Bruce Prichard in charge of both creative teams on Monday and Friday night. Paul Heyman, if you gave him 1 year to run Monday Night Raw and there was no outside influence from Vince McMahon or Bruce Prichard, I guarantee you would start seeing changes and the show would be better. A lot of people were like, oh, Paul Heyman's making Monday Night Raw watchable. Nothing really changed about Monday Night Raw with Paul Heyman in charge because he was never really in charge. Vince McMahon was in charge. Vince McMahon let him get a couple of ideas in here and there. And Aleister Black here, a Buddy Murphy there, an Andrade here, Street Profits there, an Angel Garza here. You know, new talents were popping. Humberto Carrillo over there somewhere. You got some new talents on TV, but you saw how quickly WWE started scaling back on those talents, and it went right back to what we usually see every Monday night. Shit. So Vince doesn't want anything outside the box. He wants what he wants. He wants exactly what he sees as far as the vision of WWE, which at this point, I don't even know what the fuck it is. But when he's not there, Vince is not there, Bruce is going to carry out that vision. They hate professional wrestling. They hate everything about professional wrestling. And this story has been ongoing for the last couple of months. Meltzer talked about Adam Cole and his hair being cut and him being made into a manager. Adam Cole said, well, I never heard anything about that. Of course you didn't. Why the fuck would you? They didn't tell you that. If they did, you would have been running for the door triple as fast as you were already. Kofi Kingston came out and said, I don't find out what I'm doing on Raw until I go on social media. So if he doesn't know what he's doing and he's a veteran of the roster, how is Adam Cole going to know what he's got coming up as far as his plans on the main roster? But now it's coming out that Adam Cole was going to have his hair cut, be made into a manager. This was all legit. I believe the story 100%. This was originally coming from Ringside News. Meltzer is elaborating on all of this. Meltzer pointed out how WWE didn't see Adam Cole as someone who could be a big star on the main roster. And instead it was pitched to have him cut his hair and manage Bearcat Lee, Keith Lee. Meltzer said everyone knew how good he was, and their feeling was that he's too small to be big time. A lame duck excuse. The big problem is that they think they have the best product. That's the problem. Meltzer also said that the mentality in WWE is that AEW just needs to burn themselves out like WCW did. No, it's actually working in the opposite direction. They're catching fire and WWE is burning themselves out Because the more that they continue to not change with the times and not give the professional wrestling fan the product that we desire, they're burning themselves out on their sports entertainment. They're burning the fans out by not changing the fucking formula on Monday and Friday night. Same old shit. Meanwhile, WCW, they are not to be compared. AEW is not to be compared to WCW. This is not one and the same here. Another comparison. AEW and WCW. Why? Why? I don't get it. They're not running the same type of show. They're not. If I'm to compare AEW to anything, it's what Triple H was doing with NXT when he was completely in charge. Free to do whatever he wanted. I don't see the comparisons here. WWE is actually burning themselves out. AEW is catching fire. Meltzer said it was Bruce Prichard's idea to change Cole's character on the main roster, and that is another indication that Vince McMahon needs to surround himself with people who are familiar with the current backstage landscape, the wrestling landscape. Cole is getting monster pops on AEW television, and he comes across as a big deal to the AEW fans. Meltzer said Bruce was the guy with the Adam Cole idea. That's not the guy. That's not the guy you want there. He needs a guy who is a product of the last few years of wrestling, who knows the last few years of wrestling and understands today's wrestling and has a clue of where tomorrow's wrestling is going, because today's wrestling doesn't matter. You should be thinking 2024, 2025 right now, and you're in the 1980s, and you're going to be even further away than that, says Dave Meltzer. Everybody shits on Dave Meltzer. That is 1,000% correct. He said, that's not the guy you want there. I don't get how people don't see Bruce being a fucking problem. You do not need a guy like Bruce Prichard there. Meltzer said you need someone who knows the last few years of wrestling and understands today's wrestling and has a clue of where tomorrow's wrestling is going. You know who that was? Paul Levesque. Where is he now? Basically fired. He's pushing fucking pencils at the Performance Center. He's filing fucking papers in the filing cabinet down in Orlando, Florida. That was the guy that you had there, and that's the guy you removed because you hate professional wrestling. You hate the fact he had it right, and you hate the fact that he had it right and moving the company into the future that it needed to be in. Bruce and his team, Vince and his team, they're going backwards. Just look at what they're doing. Look at who they're molding as the future of this company. Look, Von Wagner's and Braun Breakers and fucking whoever else they got down there. Look at the way the women's wrestling situation is just deteriorating in WWE. Who's in charge? John Laurinaitis. He thinks women's wrestling is divas era wrestling. And Bruce Prichard hates women's professional wrestling. And he actively said, this is coming from Mickie James and her mouth, word for word, there's no money in women's wrestling. Women's wrestling is not a draw. That is the mentality of Bruce Prichard. And if Bruce thinks that, and Johnny Laurinaitis is the way that he is, and they shill that to Vince McMahon, who do you think Vince McMahon's going to listen to? Are you serious? Meanwhile, somebody like Adam Cole, guy is the next coming of Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels and Triple H put so much of them into building him, and they didn't see that. Oh, he's too small. I'm sorry. He's a top 5 guy in this industry, and you let him walk into a company that you think is going to fizzle out and burn themselves out. I'm sorry, if CM Punk thought that AEW was going to burn itself out, do you think he'd be there? If AEW was going to burn itself out, do you think Bryan Danielson would be there? Do you think John Moxley would be there? You think Chris Jericho would be the face of the fucking company at the startup? I don't understand the mentality here. Bruce Prichard hates professional wrestling. Bruce Prichard is the fucking bane of WWE's existence. If he was gone, nothing would change. But with him there, things are that much worse because we already have Vince McMahon fucking saying what he needs to do or what he wants to do, and then Bruce is doubling down on that. When Vince McMahon has all these things just going his way when he got all these yeses coming to him, does that mean Vince is going to have any fucking opportunity to maybe go a different direction? If Vince has yes coming from all of his fucking circus, do you think Vince is ever going to change his mind? No. That's the problem. Bruce is a major problem in this company. I don't know how this man has a job. I don't work there, but I see it. This is just one of those situations that I read and I'm not surprised by it at all. What a joke. If they don't hate professional wrestling, this story needs to open your eyes. This is a story that says and pinpoints Bruce out of a crowd. Which one of you hates professional wrestling? That's that guy right there. Bruce Prichard hates professional wrestling. Braun Strowman, a.k.a. Adam Scherr, will likely be signing with Impact Wrestling. Rumors started after Scott D'Amore hinted on a live stream that Strowman could be signing with the promotion. It appears that he had not agreed to a deal at that time, but it looks like things are now all but confirmed, because PW Insider is reporting that Strowman was seen meeting with Scott D'Amore this past week at a hotel bar for Motor City Comic Con in Detroit. It was reported that both men were seen sitting and talking for a very long time, and it was also reported that D'Amore was the first and waited for Strowman, or was there first and waited for Strowman to arrive. Additionally, it was reported that Impact has been working on several surprises for Bound for Glory taking place in Las Vegas this week. I will be watching. I don't know how I'll be doing that with Dynamite happening on the same weekend, but we will figure something out. Again, it's not confirmed that a deal has been signed, but it looks like the odds are much better than they were just a few weeks ago. And at that time, it was believed that Strowman would be going to Impact and not headed to AEW. Strowman actually also confirmed that there has been talks between him, his team, and Tony Khan with AEW. But even though he did actually finally confirm that, I don't think that he's going to end up there. I do think that we see him this weekend at Bound for Glory, and I do think that's a good move for him. I do. I don't think going to AEW is going to be a upward trajectory for Mr. Adam Scherr or Titan, whatever the fuck they're going to be calling him. Braun Strowman. We'll call him Braun Strowman until we get official confirmation of what his new name is going to be. If he went to AEW, I do think that he would be stuck in the ex-WWE landfill category. And I don't think he would do very well over there with a model that AEW has pretty much produced for the last 2 years. They already got enough big guys over there that they need to concentrate on and build to the next level. Bringing in Strowman's going to stifle them, and bringing in Strowman is going to give off, maybe AEW isn't really the promotion for us if they're going to go out and get someone who is clearly all WWE. We don't need this type of guy here. They took a Miro, they took a Black. Those guys were stifled in WWE. They were much more than WWE. AEW has fit them more than WWE ever could have fit them. Strowman coming on in, I don't think he would ever really bathe himself in what AEW is. I don't think he'd come on in and be AEW. I do think that he'd be in AEW and we'd see exactly the same thing that we got in WWE. And that's not what Tony Khan needs. Impact could use that. Impact, I think, could use him very well. I do think that he's going to be a huge asset to them. He's a big name. And I do think that he's going to make a career for himself over there. Better to be a big fish in a small pond than go to a big pond and be a medium-sized fish and sit in the mid-card for the entire duration that you're there. Just look at the landscape of what they're doing. I hope that he knows what's going on there. And I hope that's the reason why he didn't go there. I hope he realizes that he's not going to go in and immediately go to the top like he thinks he does. Or he thinks he wants to be. Or deserves to be. He goes to Impact, he goes right to the top. I can be okay with that. See what happens. And finally, WWE is bringing back Retro Raw ratings. Desperate for ratings. In early 2022. Over the summer, it was reported that WWE had been considering bringing back themes for its television shows to help boost ratings. At the time, King of the Ring and Raw Roulette were two themes reportedly being talked about. WWE did bring back King of the Ring earlier this month in addition to the Queen's Crown tournament. Both were pretty much booked like shit, so it doesn't really matter if WWE brought them back or not. They put zero effort into both of these tournaments. Andrew Zarian from Matman Podcast reported this week that the Retro Raw theme will be used sometime in January 2022. I enjoyed Retro Raw. Last time they did Retro Raw, I enjoyed Retro Raw. But the thing is, we all know why WWE is doing it, just like they did Legends Night on January 4th of this year. It was nothing more than a, we need ratings. Somebody help us, please. Somebody help us, please. Ratings desperation. That blew up in WWE's face. More people laughed at it than they did enjoy it. And the Retro Raw, I'm going to say it's the same thing, but I enjoy a Retro Raw more than a Legends Night. I do. I think what is old is new again. But the thing is, even though it's ratings desperation for WWE, especially on Raw, because they typically go to these tactics to try and boost ratings, and it's nothing more than a fucking Band-Aid that falls off the very next day. I do wish, if they do things like that, I do wish that they take some of the old and apply it to the new and use it moving forward, because the show desperately needs change. I think the show is just over the top, way too polished. I do think that some of the old luster and some of the things that they used to do back in the day, picture-in-picture promos or, certain things to the aesthetics of the show, how it looks, theme music, things like that. I wish that they would bring back some of those elements and apply them to the show that we're getting now. Because the show is in dire need of change, and that may be some of the right change that they're looking for to really freshen up the show. What is old is new again. What is old or what worked in the old school will definitely work in the new school. I do wish that they would do these shows and rethink their show moving forward. Hey, this worked then, let's use it now. One could only hope. But that is your Off the Script Extra for Friday, guys. Tonight I will be live for SmackDown and Rampage, so make sure you guys tune into that. Tomorrow night I'll be live with Jesse for AEW Dynamite Saturday night. And when we're doing a podcast this weekend, I have no fucking idea. I have no idea. Maybe another weekend of extras. So we'll see what happens. But I hope you guys enjoyed this Off the Script Extra for your Friday afternoon. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. And if you guys missed the Crown Jewel post show yesterday afternoon, go check that out. It's on the homepage as we speak. And again, I'll see you guys tonight in the venue for Friday Night SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Until then, I'm JD. Have a great Friday night. I'll see you back in the venue tonight for a double stream, SmackDown and Rampage on OTS. We'll see you guys later.